Jon Jones versus Stipe Miocic for the heavyweight title at UFC 39 is the ultimate showdown of MMA behemoths. In the blue corner stands the greatest heavyweight of all time with a point to prove, while the red corner is the undisputed GOAT, eager to silence any remaining doubts about his legacy by adding another legend to his list of fallen opponents. The stakes are higher than ever, and only one will walk away with the title and immortality. Who will it be? Let's find out. The build-up. For more than a decade, Jon Jones ruled the UFC light heavyweight division with an iron fist, ending some of MMA's top legends, like Mauricio Rua,
to the body. Jon Jones is the youngest.
Rampage Jackson, Rashad Evans, Lyoto Machida, and Daniel Cormier.
Big John gives him every chance in the world.
In his younger years, Jones wasn't just winning. He was winning with maximum style points with stoppages that sent shivers down everyone's spine. But somewhere along the lines, the competition started closing in, when a new wave of fighters like Thiago Santos and Dominic Reyes pushed the GOAT to his breaking point.
Because for the first 3 rounds, Dominic Reyes was winning.
He knew it was time to step away for a while for a monumental comeback.
Series news yesterday, Jon Jones announced he was vacating the light heavyweight title. Is that official?
It's official, yeah.
For 3 years, Jones teased a move up to heavyweight and a clash of titans with reigning champion Francis Ngannou. But their romance with destiny just wasn't meant to be.
Jon is just part of the system that I stood up against, and that at some point this was trying to stand on my way until they are not in my way anymore.
In 2023, Ngannou would vacate his UFC belt and quit the promotion over a contractual dispute, since Dana White wouldn't allow him a bigger piece of the pie as well as a chance to box.
We offered Francis a deal that would have made him the highest paid heavyweight in the history of the company. More than Lesnar, more than anybody. And he turned the deal down.
And Dana, who once lit up at the mere mention of Ngannou's name.
And Francis Ngannou has the world record for the most powerful punch. His punch is the equivalent to 96 horsepower, which is equal to getting hit by a Ford Escort going as fast as it can.
Now claimed that the scariest man on the planet was running because he was scared.
Just wants to take 0 risks. Doesn't want to take any chances. And he obviously didn't want to take a chance against Jon Jones.
The next thing we know, Jones is back and he's fighting Cyril Gane for the vacant belt at UFC 285.
For the heavyweight championship. And Jon Jones has been willing and ready and able to fight anybody. He didn't care who it was. Could have been anybody in the heavyweight division. He was ready to go.
Considering Jones' razor-thin victories over Dominic Reyes and Thiago Santos, many believed Gane was primed to hand the legend his first real taste of defeat in the MMA.
Gane's range and movement. I don't know if Jon Jones has really dealt with that type of high-level striking.
But Jones was adamant to prove his doubters wrong for the umpteenth time.
It's just, I want the fans to know that there's levels to this game. I want the fans to know that there's levels to this game, and I'm excited to show the world how great I can be.
Jones stepped into the cage like a reborn warrior, shrugging off any signs of age or past battles as he bulldozed through the Frenchman, securing his place among the elite few who've claimed belts in 2 weight classes. In his post-fight interview, Jones left no room for doubt about his next target to cement his GOAT status at heavyweight, the legend himself, Stipe Miocic.
I want to see Stipe Miocic. I hope you're training, my guy. You're the greatest heavyweight of all time, and that's what I want. I want you real bad.
Throughout his illustrious career, the fireman from Ohio has snuffed out some of the fiercest flames in the fight game. But Jones isn't a regular inferno. He's a firestorm that Miocic will have to walk through to achieve eternal greatness.
Today, Jon Jones is the greatest of all time and the best to ever do it. So I think Stipe has definitely got his work cut out for him, but this isn't as simple and as cut and dry as maybe some of the other fights that Jon Jones has been in.
Miocic made his UFC debut in 2011, taking out 3 opponents in less than a year to put the heavyweight division on notice. But unlike Jones, his hype would take a momentary hit against Stefan Struve, who'd knock him out cold. Miocic would rebound by outboxing Roy Nelson and Gabriel Gonzaga, before stopping Fabio Maldonado to earn a title eliminator against Junior Dos Santos, which he'd lose too. But that loss in particular would make him a better fighter.
Thank him, because he made me the fighter I am today.
With 2 setbacks already stopping the Ohio Express in its tracks, Miocic knew he couldn't afford a third, so he destroyed Mark Hunt and Andrei Arlovsky to hit his shot at heavyweight gold, facing then-champion Fabricio Verdum at UFC 198. Miocic would knock Verdum out cold and secure the heavyweight title.
Attacking. You scare me now, man. I want to fight you again, just, you know.
After defending his title 3 times, Miocic would go on a trilogy ride with Daniel Cormier, losing the first fight by a devastating knockout.
Oh, it sucks. Losing is not fun. I mean, losing is not fun at all. I mean, it sucks. But, you know, in perspective, I look at it. I'm going home right now. My beautiful wife, selling my child. Better things in life than losing. You know, it sucks. You know, I want to come back, get a rematch, of course. But listen, right now, it's DC's day. Good for him.
Miocic mounted a fierce comeback after losing his belt to Cormier, beating him twice to settle their rivalry once and for all.
And still the undisputed
With Cormier in the rearview mirror, Stipe now had to face a scary Francis Ngannou, who had come leaps and bounds since their first fight at UFC 220, where Ngannou lost by a decision.
Obviously, I'm not taking credit of Stipe. He was a better fighter that night. But when I look at that fight, I hate watch that fight because I don't recognize myself. Even the way that I'm fighting, the way that I'm rushing, that guy looked like me, but I don't recognize that style.
At UFC 260, Ngannou was the better fighter as he rocked Miocic in the first round and then sent him packing in the second.
And leave these big openings. Oh,
knockout for Ngannou. Nice counter right from Miocic, who is now
to become the UFC heavyweight champion. It's been a long 3 years since Miocic last stepped into the cage, and plenty of folks are convinced that ring rust might slow him down when he finally faces Jon Jones for the belt.
And I'm telling you right now, everyone's overlooking Stipe Miocic, and these people are absolutely out of their minds.
But the last time someone came off a 3-year break to fight for the heavyweight title, they delivered a near-perfect show at UFC 285. Miocic had his sights set initially on reclaiming the heavyweight title against Jon Jones at UFC 295. But fate had other plans when Jones pulled out due to injury.
See how I was feeling, obviously. Very sad situation, very upset. But I've been through a lot of things in life, and injuries is a part of being an athlete.
The UFC quickly reshuffled, bringing in Tom Aspinall and Sergey Pavlovich to battle for the interim heavyweight title, which Aspinall won by TKO in the first round. The Brit, however, made a grave mistake by not calling out Jones, even though he had every right to. Aspinall set the record straight just a few months later, putting his interim heavyweight battle on the line against Curtis Blades. This time, there'd be no slip-ups. With fire in his eyes, Big Tom pointed straight at the undisputed GOAT.
Did his fingers and toes tonight hoping that I'd lose to Curtis? Let's not bullshit about it. Like he posted about it loads anyway that I'm going to lose to him.
I think I'm the #1 heavyweight in the world. That's all I got to say. Yeah, I think I'm the #1 heavyweight. If Jon Jones thinks he's the #1 heavyweight, let's fight for it.
Not only that, Aspinall went as far as saying that Jones should be stripped for picking a contender instead of unifying the titles with him.
Jon Jones should be stripped to the title, to be honest, because everyone else does when they get injured like that. I don't see why he's still got it. I don't understand that.
The victory stirred up a storm in the MMA world, with many fans and analysts dubbing Aspinall the true heavyweight champ.
Yes, but Jon Jones versus Tom Aspinall is fucking interesting.
Who do you view as the heavyweight champion? Is it Tom Aspinall? Is it Jon Jones? Is it both of them? Who's champion?
I view it as Aspinall. I do. I think Aspinall had to beat a harder opponent in order to get the belt.
Some even thought that Jones was running scared.
I've said before that he could smoke Jon Jones. I said before that Jon Jones couldn't hold a candle or hold a torch to Tom Aspinall. And I respect Jon Jones, and I like Jon Jones, and you've got to remember the run that he had and the great achievements that he's had in this incredible sport. But I believe what we saw tonight from Tom Aspinall, and what we see every time from Tom Aspinall, I believe that beats anybody.
Jon Jones didn't remain entirely silent on the matter, but he certainly put an end to all the chatter by stating that he had no interest in fighting the British heavyweight. There are fighters literally all over the world who think in the back of their mind that they can beat Jon Jones. There will be no statues of you, Tom. Go out and win more. Make your name greater. That's the only way you do it, Jones would say in a tweet. While Jones addressed the buzz just enough to keep the tension alive, he made one thing crystal clear, that Miocic was the only one he was interested in facing. The UFC finally put all the speculation to rest, booking Jones and Miocic for the heavyweight title showdown at UFC 309, silencing all the chatter and setting up a clash which will cement legacies and settle once and for all who would reign supreme in heavyweight history. The question is, who will have the last laugh? The Fight Breakdown. Stipe Miocic is widely considered one of the greatest heavyweight fighters in UFC history, if not the greatest of all time. Yet, he's a heavy underdog heading into the fight, which is crazy.
He's being overlooked, disrespected, completely forgotten about in the heavyweight division, and this man has the opportunity to go out there and shock the entire world.
Stipe is someone whose style is rooted in solid fundamentals, a great gas tank, and a mix of power and size that makes him a nightmare for any opponent.
Warn you this, don't overlook Stipe Miocic. He is a fucking killer. And if you overlook him, he will put you out. He's just that good.
The key to his success lies in his ability to stick to the basics, especially his jab. Miocic doesn't just throw punches. He uses jabs as a tool to control the rhythm of the fight. He often throws it not to land hard, but to test his opponent's reactions, setting up his next moves based on what he sees.
Let me tell you what, this guy is tough.
Stipe?
Yeah. It's not easy to crack.
Really?
It's tough. Yeah. Like, I think that's something that people don't realize about him, how tough he is.
Stipe's not the kind of fighter to rush in and overcommit. Instead, Miocic makes his opponents work first, tiring them out as they try to land big shots, before he counters with precision. In his first fight with Francis Ngannou, for instance, Miocic demonstrated his patience perfectly, when instead of engaging with the heavy hitter too early, he stayed back, defended well, and wore Ngannou down before striking when the time was right.
He's throwing it hard. He's digging it in there. He's trying to get that neck.
And he's good. Like, he has a very good fight IQ. He's not a guy that will do like crazy stuff, but he knows exactly what to do and when to do that to win a fight.
Miocic also uses low kicks to disrupt his opponent's stance, making it hard for him to set up their own offense, especially when he's fighting from a more defensive position. Whether it's attacking the inside or outside of the opponent's legs, these kicks will help him control the fight's flow. What really sets Miocic apart is his ability to adapt during fights. Against Alistair Overeem, for example, he used his hand control to close the distance and land significant strikes. Against Junior Dos Santos, he mixed up his stance and punching combinations, leaving Dos Santos guessing and unable to settle into his rhythm. In his trilogy with Daniel Cormier, Miocic again showcased his adaptability. For example, in their second fight, he focused on attacking the body, and in the third, he used footwork to stay out of range and pick his spots with counters. While Miocic's primary focus has always been boxing, his wrestling background has been a huge advantage in the cage. The former champ's college wrestling experience has allowed him to outclass many of his opponents, especially the strikers, giving him a tactical edge more often than not. On offense, Miocic uses subtle feints, including half-hearted takedown attempts to keep his opponents guessing, creating openings for his strikes. Miocic's feints in particular make his attacks more unpredictable, forcing opponents to stay on their toes. Miocic has also shown a mastery of takedowns in his career. Against fighters like Junior Dos Santos and Ngannou, he used double leg takedowns and clinch work to control the fight. In his second fight with Ngannou, Miocic adjusted his strategy to rely more on wrestling, using it to off-balance and take down the heavy hitter. On the ground, Miocic's top control is extremely solid. He traps his opponent's limbs in half guard, allowing him to strike freely as he did against Ngannou, where he focused more on control than heavy ground and pound. Defensively, Miocic is also a force to be reckoned with. His takedown defense is solid, and if he's put on his back, he's quick to scramble and get back to his feet. Against Daniel Cormier, for example, Miocic showcased his defensive wrestling with the funk roll, creating scrambles to avoid being controlled. He's proven his toughness by surviving in dangerous positions, like when he escaped Overeem's guillotine attempt. Even at 42 years old, Miocic's blend of boxing and wrestling fundamentals makes him a serious challenge for anyone in the division.
42, 35, 31, 38, don't matter. Miocic is going to show up. It's going to be a hell of a fight.
But does anyone also include Jon Jones?
What? If there's anybody that can, he would be that guy with his style that could be that man. But so far, no one has truly beaten Jon Jones, and there's a reason.
Johnny Bones is a truly gifted athlete whose physique has played a major role in his dominance over the years.
Jon Jones – это подарок судьбы от Бога, а не от Грега Джексона. Грег Джексон хороший тренер по ударной технике. Не путайте эти две вещи. Джон Джонсон, мы знаем, это номер один среди бойцов. Может быть, не в поведении, может быть, в законе, может быть, не с этим. Я уверен, что он и в тяжах разнесет первую пятерку, кроме двух человек под сомнением. Кроме двух человек. Остальные в тяжах он разнесет. Это лично мое мнение.
What was once considered a disadvantage, being long and lean, has now become one of the most desirable traits in a fighter. And Jon Jones has perfected the art of using it by mixing his physical gifts up with his skills, fight IQ, and hard work to create the recipe for destruction.
Array of, attacks, offense, defense. I think if this fight were to go Stipe's way, he would probably have to get Jon tired. But I think that Jon is just so savvy in there. And
Jones' arsenal's packed with tools that maximize his reach, like a sharp jab to tricky oblique kicks and powerful push kicks. His footwork complements these tools and allows him to control distance in a way that makes it nearly impossible for fighters to close the gap or trap him along the cage. When Jones does decide to engage, he can mix it up with the best strikers in the game. His chin is held up against some of the hardest hitters, and his technical striking is on another level.
That is the only man that I'll put ahead of me, because this man, I feel like any single time he has been inside the cage, he could just destroy his opponent however he wanted. He also has wins by knockout, putting people to sleep, decisions, everything on the list.
Jones is also unpredictable on the feet, with his spinning attacks and kicks to the head or body when you least expect them, coming from angles his opponents can't anticipate. Jones may not have the most wrestling accolades in UFC history, but there's little doubt he's one of the best wrestlers in MMA, with some Russians being the only real competition for that title. The former UFC light heavyweight champion started wrestling in high school, winning the NJCAA championship in 2006. His wrestling is one of the cornerstones of his style, and it allows him to dictate where the fight happens. Jones' takedown defense is nearly flawless, and his ability to stay on his feet is a key part of his success. Throughout his reign as UFC light heavyweight champion, Jones faced some of the best wrestlers in the sport, with Daniel Cormier being the most notable. In their first encounter, Jones made history by becoming the first fighter to take Cormier down, doing so 3 times while only being taken down once. All because Cormier kept guessing. What separates Jon Jones from most fighters is his versatility, as he blends wrestling with striking like it's a form of art and keeps his opponents constantly on their toes with unpredictable attacks. He's also not afraid to go against his game plan to prove a point. For example, he surprised many of his critics by shooting for early takedowns against Cormier. Against some of the world's best strikers, Jones not only held his own, but thought out of the box to demolish him. It's these calculated risks that makes Jones not just great, but one of the most dangerous guys on the planet. Jones is also constantly testing his limits, evolving and adapting his skills against the best of the best.
2 things that impressed me to a very shocking degree with him was, number 1, his ability to learn moves, because most guys, especially at his level who are successful, and most guys who are in their mid-30s and they already have an established game over 2 decades, they have their game, and then once you teach them something, they don't really retain it. It's like they have their game and that's it. With Jon, who's always looking to integrate new things into his game, And if he has like 5 different topics he asks me about, and I teach him 5 things, he might disregard 3 of them. But if he likes 2 of them, he will immediately like, okay, that's part of my game now. And he'll do it, he'll drill it, and then that's part of his game.
As far as mistakes are concerned, Jones don't make much, or any at all, especially when the stakes are high. A huge part of Jones' success is his preparation. He doesn't leave anything to chance, spending countless hours studying his opponents and making sure he's prepared for any surprise tactic they might bring. But will that preparation be enough to crack the Miocic code? Miocic's last fight was in 2021, when he was knocked out by Francis Ngannou. It's been 3 years since then, and while Jones has only fought once in the past 4 years as well, there's no telling if ring rust will affect either of them. The time off might have allowed them both to recover and come back stronger, especially Miocic, who's been out for longer.
No punishments, no wars, no KOs. He's been 2 solid years of recovery.
That's huge.
It's big.
Even if he wasn't training crazy, but his body was able to kind of recover, I feel like there's so much into that than just being training and fucking busting yourself down.
Yeah.
One thing's for sure, the stakes are enormous. Title, legacy, and GOAT status all hang in the battle. Who will come out on top with so much on the line at UFC 309? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.